building for a very special edition of the Hip Hop Uncensored Podcast. We got a very special guest in the building, none other than the legendary Big U on the podcast. How you doing today, family?
I'm doing all right. So look, my man Jimmy Chris from Compton, Peru, approached me about doing a show, and it was his idea, and it was at the time that all of those shows was going on. Like, I think it was Love and Hip Hop and Hit Real Hard, and it was, I think Steve did a show about managers, and they was doing shows about producers. So when he got at me about doing it, I was like, yeah, I fuck with it. I do it. And he had got at Suge. Suge went to jail. He had got a couple more people from LA, and it ended up just being me doing it for him. And we shot a pilot, like I said, about 4 years ago. We shot the pilot, and the pilot kind of just set. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we went to BET. BET liked it, but BET was kind of like in a different space at that time. So they BET was actually friendly to us, keep it 100, because BET gave us some money to reshoot it, and we reshot it. BET turned it down still.
All right, I was saying that we've been following your career for a very long time and very respected and very interested to know how you came up in the city of Los Angeles in the time you did.
Oh, I mean, I was born here. I was born on the west side, pretty much on Figueroa and Hoover. I mean, on let me see, close to about Florence and Hoover, and really just raised on the west side of LA. I came up, we got involved in the gang life. Then, I mean, I took martial arts since I was a kid, martial art and boxing. So that kind of gave us gave me a different outlook in life. And I think as I got older, I started, and we got more into the streets. We started seeing where we were able to go and do things that other people couldn't do. And I feel like it was probably because I had gained a reputation in the streets of LA for fighting, drugs, shooting, and in and out of jail. And that kind of like tells the story of a Big U, but it tells the same story of most young men that come up in South Central LA, especially men who look like myself and Brown. So we all dealt with that gang life, and was influenced by it in one way or another.
What style of martial arts did you practice, if you don't mind me asking?
I feel like I was lucky because Kempo.
Okay.
Kempo, I studied under BKF.
All right. Now, what were you saying? My fault.
But I boxed also too. I grew up down the street from the Manchester boxing gym. I boxed in Manchester. I boxed on 108. I boxed a couple of different places.
Okay.
Now going back, to the gangs. You was a member of the Rolling 60s. Originally, if you know, what was the original, reason for formation of gangs in LA? If you can let the people know.
For who?
The reason why the gangs were formed in LA originally.
Originally, I'm not from that era. That's 10 years older than me. That's okay. That's Tookie and Raymond Washington. I'm actually doing a story on Raymond Washington. It's called The Birth of a Crip. But originally, going back to like the original guys, it's often said that the Crips was formed as a result of the Black Panthers and what was going on with Black people in LA, in the mistreatment of Black people in LA. So then that gave rise to Raymond Washington wanted to start in the Crips. But the original formation of the Crips, I feel like I would want to say was something that was supposed to be positive. And over the years and the influences from COINTELPRO, J. Edgar Hoover, and the rest of these guys who didn't want to see the rise of a black strong figure or black strong organization, they got in and really poisoned the idea.
We had a Nino Cappuccino on a couple months ago, and he was giving his perspective of the 80s and the gangs in the 80s and the violence in the 80s from a Blood's perspective, Pyru's perspective. I would love to hear it from your perspective. Yeah, Nino Cappuccino.
Nino. I know Nino, but I'm trying to think. Is he from? I think he's from Inglewood, right?
I'm not sure.
I think he said from wherever Watts is. What's the word Watts?
Watts, yeah.
Watts is Watts, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, he's from Watts. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, he is from Watts. I think he is from Watts. Yeah. He a real one.
Yeah. Salute to the brother. That's a real
But
But he was talking about the 80s.
Said yeah.
My fault, family. He said he was talking about the 80s and how violent it was in the 80s. How was that from your perspective, the 80s?
I was shot 7 times in the 80s.
Damn. Lord.
So I don't know how. I don't know if it was. I don't know if he's telling the truth or not. But I was shot 7 times.
Now you
I was shot 7 different times. I wasn't shot like 50 of them shot one time. No, I was shot 7 different times. My first time getting shot, I think, was 1982. Either 81 or 82. I was shot all the way up until my last time getting shot was been 1991. And then I went to prison right after that.
right.
So I would agree with him that the 80s in themselves was a different kind of era. But I would also say that when the 90s came, it was more weaponry. The weapons in the 90s outmasked the weapons in the 80s. So in the 80s, what was different to me was people were really concentrating on getting their man. And in the 90s and the 2000s, you see these kids with 200-round drums and guns that shoot 21, 31 times. The difference between us back then is we didn't have nothing to shoot like that. And
right.
So, not to glorify, but the way these kids are now today is, you see them, they shooting everybody, and they shooting baby mamas and kids, and it's that's when I came home in 2004, it was crazy because it was different. The 80s had more direction. It was bullshit too, but
right.
It was a little bit more direction.
Right. Now you tell a story about, you do 13 years, and I think the final 3 years you did like 3 years in a whole, and you get out and people expecting you to really carry on the Blood versus Crip thing, but you came out on a different vibe, like because you was locked up with Bloods and all types of different people. You talk about getting out in 04 and changing the way of the way you do things.
Yeah, when I came home see, like you said, you hit it on the nose. I had done 13 years, and I did the last 3 years and 9 months in the shoot. But my mentality, even going in prison, was different. And what I wasn't going to do is come home and feed into the mentality, the hatred of black men that was going on, and I had previously been a part of. So what really kind of gave me the respect in the streets of LA is the fact that I had already made the change while in prison and before I got to prison.
Okay.
So it made my job easier when I came home, because a lot of dudes who had done time with me already knew I wasn't on no Crip and Blood, no A-Tray versus 60s, no Hoover versus. I wasn't on that. That wasn't my push. So when I came home, a lot of people who had been doing their time with me had already been like, nah, bro ain't even on that. He ain't pushing that like that. So it really was just for me to come home and to stay solid. Because a lot of dudes will do time, and when they do time, when they come home, their mentality changed. They start moving in a different direction. They're influenced by their homeboys when they come home, instead of them being the influence to the homeboys.
Good point.
Yeah, absolutely. When did you get into the music business? When did you decide to, you know what, I'm gonna get into music and I'm gonna set the standard in LA for hip hop?
Actually, man, I got pulled into the music business around about 1989, 88 with Pop LQ, Laquan.
Okay.
And Laquan had a gold selling CD at that time, single, Welcome to the B-Side. And he was into that. That was his world. He walked up to me in the Fox Hill Mall, at the time it was named the Fox Hill Mall, on Slauson and Sepulveda, and wanted me to manage him. And he recruited me. And as a result of him recruiting me to do music and to be on music, I started moving in music. And eventually my homeboy Lamont Broomfield introduced me to Corrupt, and me, Corrupt, and Tone Tobin, Bronco T, JT. We used to all be at Tone Tobin house in the garage, clowning and just having fun. I was getting a lot of money at the time, in and out of Minnesota, so, and other places. So it was only natural you want to go mess with somebody who was having a bag. You don't want to go mess with somebody who wasn't, if you felt you needed it. And at that time, there really wasn't no gang influence in music like it is today. You know what I mean? So he was really coming to bring me in just on wanting to bring me in. It wasn't no need to have gang members because rappers wasn't having the money we was having at that time. We was just dope dealers. We were the rappers. We were the highlight of the show. We come to the party, it was talking about us. It wasn't really about no rappers at that time.
Right.
So my first introduction to music came through Laquan, Papa Q.
Now
Kenny Kingpin, I'm sorry. He's Kenny Kingpin now.
Corrupt. Talk about your relationship with Corrupt. And you met Corrupt and Suge Knight, right? So you was on Death Row and you met Corrupt and Suge Knight.
No.
No? Okay.
No, I met Corrupt before I went to prison. I met Laquan first, and then I met Pop LQ. I met Laquan, who was Pop LQ, and Kenny Kingpin. That's the same person. So his name is Pop LQ at the time when I met him. Kenny Kingpin, and right now he's called Kenny Kingpin. I met Corrupt in 1988. I went to prison in 1991 and did 13 years. While I was in prison doing time, Corrupt was rapping about me in songs. Corrupt had a hit song called, when he left Death Row, called We Can Freak It. And at the end of We Can Freak It, he says, Big U, we love you. Me and Corrupt relationship was based off of, one day Corrupt. I put up a Corrupt. I already had met Corrupt through Lamont Broomfield, who later sued Suge Knight for signing Corrupt behind his back. So I met Corrupt through Lamont Broomfield, like about 1988, 89. And me and Corrupt was establishing a relationship, going back and forth, meeting at Tone Tobin's garage, and he was doing music. Shortly after that, I go out of town, I come back. Some of my little homeboys is about to go take off on, and do what they do. I look in the car to see who all in the car, and Corrupt is in the car. And I tell Corrupt, I ask Corrupt, like, are you the rapper? Ain't you the rapper, the one that Lamont got? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, bro, what you doing in the car with these dudes? You don't need to be going to go do what they about to go do. And I pulled Corrupt out the car. I literally made Corrupt get out the car and told Corrupt, you're going to be the rapper. If you want to do something, go be a great rapper and take these niggas out the hood. You can help them like that. You don't need to be going to go do nothing else. And right after that, I seen Corrupt maybe 2 times after that. I had just started Delicious Entertainment. I was finna sign a deal with Corrupt. Me and Lamont was working out a situation, and I went to jail. 3 years in my sentence, 3 to 4 years after me doing time, I don't even know Corrupt is a part of the Dog Pound. I don't even know the name. This man don't owe me nothing. He didn't owe me nothing. I never gave him no money. I never actually had the time to finish signing him. He didn't owe me jack shit, bro. I never produced his music. He says I get a letter with $3,400 in it, or maybe $800. I can't remember the exact number, but it was like $3,000. I know for sure it was $3,000 or something, because the restitution takes a part of the money when you sentence, right? And it was just a letter. And then about 5 days later, the pictures come, and his pictures are Corrupt and some of the homies. And we got off lockdown, I called my wife, And she was like, "Did you get the pictures from Ricky?" And I'm like, "Who the fuck is that?" But I already had got the pictures. So I'm like, "That's Corrupt, right? The little rapper dude." She's like, "Yeah." And he really kept me on, and he did a couple of shows for me. So I was producing shows with Corrupt while I was in prison.
I was gonna ask you that.
Snoop. I did Snoop, Daz, and Corrupt, the Dog Pound. I put the jerseys on the set, unique CDs on Soul Train. I'm the first one to go get the jerseys. I had Snoop had the 21. No, Daz had the 20, 21. Snoop had the 20, and Corrupt had the 60.
Wow.
And I made those.
So how connected were you in the industry? Bob, I'm sorry. How connected were you in the industry through your time? I know you said the first 3 years you were Corrupt. Did you kind of stay connected through the industry throughout your time?
Yeah. I was pretty much messing with the industry the whole time I was gone. My little brother got killed with Corrupt around about 99 at the studio. And like I said, with Corrupt, I was always connected. And then with Corrupt success, it made it easier for me to be connected. You know, I was right there walking him through when he left Death Row and went to Entre. I was right there walking him through when he came back to Death Row from Entre. So I was always in music.
Okay.
No doubt. Now let's move up a little bit. At what point did you meet Nipsey? I heard you telling the story about, that you pretty much, he lived with you at one point. You funded his career early on. Could you talk about meeting Nipsey Hussle?
Yep. Yeah, I met Nip 2007. It was shortly after I came home. And if y'all remember, Corrupt left Death Row and went back to do the Dog Pound. When Corrupt left Death Row and go back to do the Dog Pound, that's when I started looking for. I left and started looking for another artist. That's when I started looking for Nipsey. My nephew Shortstop told me to go find Nipsey because they had been trying to get on. I'm in front of your place, dog.
How special was he early? Like looking at Nip.
I'm in front of your place.
My fault.
Yeah.
Nah, looking at a young Nip and looking at his development, how early did you know he was something real, something special?
You said again?
I said, once you met Nip and you started seeing him in the studio, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. I said, okay, cool. Once you met Nip and you got Nip in the studio, you started feeling his vibe and understanding what he could do musically. How early on was it till you realized he was something special?
Shit, I realized he was something special after I wouldn't have put no time into him if I didn't feel like he was special.
Right.
And at that time, you got to put your money in it. Like if you find an artist or somebody that you're dealing with, you got to put your money in that person, your money, your time, to make sure that it's gonna work. Because you got to remember when I first started dealing with Nip, his brother was on his way to prison.
Mm-hmm.
So we was dealing this, and we was trying to get the thing done. His brother was on his way to prison. They was losing the property that Nip was at, So Nip ended up staying in my condo in Hawthorne. And so I had a condo in Hawthorne, then I had another spot on the 103rd. So we had got the studio equipment, put it in Hawthorne. Little bro was staying there, and we started moving. And it wasn't until we actually signed the deal with Sony that he got his own place in the Palazzo. So once he got it, he talks about it all the time.
Right.
We talked about it before he actually, what happened. But yeah, so he stayed with us. But it was like he already had the song Bullets Ain't Got No Names.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bullets Ain't Got No Name. He had a couple of songs that was biting. But I felt like from being with Corrupt and being in the big studios and being around Dr. Dre and them produced products that I felt like he could get to that next level.
Right.
You know what I mean? He just needed somebody else to give him direction and show him how to really kind of like put the music together. Because, I wanted to get him with major producers. And you can see how young people are, like 17, 18, 19, getting into music, they grow. And as they get older and older, they become, good at doing the music, hearing the beats, learning how to ride the beats and doing that stuff.
Right.
So because I was already seasoned in it and I already had the relationships, I just came with that more, But he was the talent all the way through and through. He was such a talent, bro. You could see it.
Right.
Now, is it true that you were responsible for because when you first got with him, obviously he was a lot of gangster rap. Then at a point he transitioned to more of a conscious talking about like money and making money. Did you influence him to do that as well?
Well, I was already doing it. You got to understand that when I came home, I've always been black conscious. Let me say that. I've always pushed that. When I came home, I was already, we're not doing no color lines. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want music that was disrespecting people. I went through all of our videos. I went through all of the songs, and I made sure that we did not disrespect other sets. And I pushed the line. I pushed the line on that, not only just him, but on my whole neighborhood. That for us to be great and for this area to be recognized for greatness, we have to be able to show other people respect. And then we're going to manage and demand our respect along the way. I was already buying property. Like I said, he was staying in one of my properties. So I was showing him that. He had already experienced them losing a piece of property, which they were buying on 85th. So he already knew what it meant to lose or what foreclosure was. So I was teaching him about that. And because he was going through it. And so he knew that. So he wanted to learn. So by him going through things, he wanted to learn the right way to do it. You know what I'm saying? And so it was right at that time that I came in, and he was young. So he was talking young. You know what I mean? And I was the old guy who was more in the unity, more in the black conscious. I had already had developing option, was doing gang intervention with the city already. So that was my mentality.
Right. Now, how did it make you feel when rumors started circling around the internet that you may have had something to do with his death a couple of years ago? I know you said that your family took it real bad, but how did it make you feel?
Yeah, it was hard on my family more than anything. Let me tell you what's crazy. I think 2 days after he was killed, Suge called me. And Suge said, "Get ready." And I'm like, "Get ready for what?" And he was like, "Because they're going to blame you." And I'm like, man, they got the dude who did it. Like, why the fuck would they blame me? Because it just didn't make sense to me.
Right.
And you got to remember, I was gone when they blamed Suge for Pac, and they blamed Diddy for Big, and they blamed I was gone, so I don't know all this. I'm gone. You know what I mean? And it was crazy how Suge said that. And right after Suge said that, I started seeing little shit on the internet. And then you start seeing people building their platforms off of saying this shit. You know what I mean? Then you had people cutting up my words, adding little things, and then it just pitfalls from there. You know what I mean? And it goes from there. But then being who I am, like, bro, I'm a street nigga. I don't know how to, you know what I mean? So that kind of works against you, because I'm not gonna go, address all this bullshit and say all the kind of shit, because I'm the kind of person who would let me see it head on. You know what I mean? Yeah. This shit was new to me. I had never even had an experience. I wouldn't even know how to tell nobody to deal with it today, because it's so foolish when you got all the evidence. Like, what is there for me to really say? Like, that's like you telling you and your partner, somebody saying you killed that man sitting next to you.
Yeah.
And they got the man in jail for it. And they know the conversation they had before that. And they know that they had problems before that. But, like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you want to feel like this shit is so ridiculous that why address it? But then it just keeps going. Then you got one person, they seen that they got 2,000 hits for saying Big U did something to Nipsey. Then you get another person, they seen they got 15,000 hits. So now they sitting in their room behind their computers, and they coming up with the most grandest stories they can come up with.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? You can't.
Yeah.
And then it gets even worse than that, because even the people who know the truth, they don't want to deal with you because they scared of what the public outcry might be. You know what I mean? Like, damn, man, we know you ain't had nothing to do with it, but you still don't want to be in a room with the person that's being accused of it. Like, come on, man. This man got a letter from the president Do you think anybody who had anything to do with that would be free?
Right. No, that's a fact.
He got a letter from Obama. That nigga got 4,000 FBI, CIA, DEAs, and whoever. Ain't nobody had anything to do with that man's demise gonna be free. He got a letter from the president. Who we know got a letter from the president?
Somebody I know.
Maybe Trump gave one to Lil Wayne. We don't know.
Now with that being said,
right.
Now with that being said, are you cool with his family?
Hold on 1 second, man.
Now with that being said, we still know, man. You good to go?
Yep.
All right. Now with that being said, how do you feel about his death, being as though you were so close to him? And do you have a relationship with Nipsey's family, or did you ever have a relationship with his family?
They gotta see all that on Hip Hop Uncovered on my documentary. They want to see any of that. Like I covered it thoroughly.
Okay.
I covered it thoroughly in my documentary. That's the reason why I did it. So, you know what I mean? They go check out Hip Hop Uncovered, man. They gonna see the whole story. They're gonna get the whole get down. Where I am, where I'm at with the family, where I'm at with this. You know what I'm saying? What's next? But that's why I did the documentary. That's why I did it, so people can see something and they can really get the facts behind everything. They can get my story. They can get Haitian Jack's story. That's why we wanted Haitian Jack to be able to talk about his situation with Pac. Yeah. Because we never got a chance to tell. We never get a chance to tell our story uninterrupted. You know what I mean? So they need to go dissect Hip Hop Uncovered, and you get all of that.
We 2 years almost hit a day. Yesterday was the day of Nipsey Hussle's passing. We went out there. Yes, sir. We went out there a couple months after that and got to visit it while we were on our trip to LA, and we just felt the energy for 20 minutes. We don't live out there. We 3,000 miles away. How is the energy now out there losing such a great person and such an impact on the community like Nipsey Hussle? How's the energy now out there in Crenshaw? Did you drive out there?
I mean, I don't know what you mean when you say how the energy is. It's kind of like, you know, they was honoring him all day yesterday.
Right.
I was on the road coming back from San Diego. I pulled up late after everything because I went to San Diego with my family, with my grandkids. But they was honoring him yesterday. We're gonna continue to honor him for the rest of our days, my days. You know what I mean? But the energy is still strong. You know what I mean? Like, it's still new. 2 years is kind of like the shit just happened. It ain't even like, you know what I mean? Like, you still, you know, when you lose a loved one, it's kind of like, you know, you don't get over that in 2 years. Although a lot of people in our neighborhood is used to death,
right?
You know, coming and going, but you're not used to somebody such, you know, somebody of such a big magnitude. And then to us, he was at a big magnitude. But then to the world, he became even bigger. Right. So to us, even when people didn't even know who he was already our chosen champ.
Right.
Like, our area had already chose Nipsey as the champ. That's why everybody supported him, t-shirts, clothes, books, whatever he was doing. He was already being chosen. He was chosen by us. You know what I mean?
I want to ask you about
us, we could say, we already knew.
Right. I want to ask you about Cowboy. Now, he's been on the internet very vouching for Nipsey Hussle.
I just pulled up from him just now.
Oh, damn.
Y'all didn't see me when he was asking that question? That was him I turned the phone to.
I couldn't. Now we have to go back and look at the pre-play. We couldn't see it.
Hell nah.
Yeah, when I said y'all don't mind, because my manager is in my ear. She talking to me in my ear.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And she said, "Don't put that phone on." That was him. I was finna call him to the car. She said,
"Damn, you were going in and out, so we really couldn't tell." And said, "Man, we can get him next time, though."
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, I want to ask you about him. Jay Stone was on his live, and he was saying that Cowboy had nothing to do with All Money and had nothing to do with Nipsey Hussle. Well, what's your thoughts on that?
Shit, bro, I can't give you no thought on that because that was their crew. I know. I know for a fact Cowboy was with Nip every day. So I don't know how he didn't have nothing to do with that, but I can't tell J Stone what his truth is.
Right.
But I know Cowboy was there. Shit, Cowboy was there when he died. So how does that work?
Right.
He was in the store, outside the store, or something like that.
Yeah.
You can ask and answer that. You can ask and answer that yourself.
Yeah, fact.
You don't need my opinion on that. All I know is Cowboy was there when the man passed, right? And from my understanding, it was Cowboy phone that supposedly called Sam or called the police, one of them. So I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's something they got to deal with.
No, we see you.
Because you gotta understand, right? You gotta understand. Everybody has their own relationship with each individual. That's like both of you guys. You know, you might have a relationship with somebody, and your co-partner may not deal with him that much. He just deal with him enough to pass the day by.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they ain't slapping no bones and going to each other's house and passing over no wine grapes or none of that. But he is though. He passing over wine grapes with him. So he might feel one way about that person. And it's hard for me to say that Nip didn't have a relationship with Cowboy when Nip is named after him. Cowboy is, in fact, Big Thundercat. And Nip is Little Thundercat.
Damn.
So I would think that in how our neighborhood works and most neighborhoods in LA work, you're going to always have a connection with your big home. You're going to almost always have a connection with your name, let me say your namesake, because you named after this dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he was right there with him, so I don't know. But J Stone my loc though.
Yeah, shout out to everybody out there, man.
Now, we see you sitting down a lot with Whack 100. This is my last Nipsey question as well. We see you sitting down with him a lot of interviews, but he has, over the last couple of years, had some things that people thought were kind of disrespectful, of Nipsey Hussle. Did you ever have any words with him or tell him, how you felt about that you would like to share with the people?
Yeah, I tell him all the time. But you got to realize Whack is directional. So basically, it ain't always. To me, he ain't saying nothing that he didn't. He feels that. He's telling your truth, and I tell him all the time. It's the way that you say it.
Yeah,
it ain't always got to be that you lying, but the way you say it and the way you present it. You know what I mean? But he ain't lying if he feel like my little dude wasn't a legend in his eyes, because he was a legend in mine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna fight with no nigga on how you feel, because I know how I felt. I chose him. I put my energy behind him. I knew what he was gonna be. Living or dead.
Indeed.
I'm the one said that. When nobody else knew, I said that. This is gonna be the one. You know what I mean? So it don't matter. He gotta remember him. It was a whole lot of people, and I'm not gonna say their names, who was talking about he looked too much like Snoop. His voice was squeaky. He can't use the name Nipsey Hussle because there's already somebody named Nipsey Hussle or Nipsey Russell. They wanted us to do a whole lot of shit, bro. They was like, nah, can't no Crip get on. So that didn't do nothing but fuel the fire.
Appreciate that. I want to transition out a little bit into hip hop.
Shit, and what did he do?
Oh, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
I said, what did he do? He showed the world. Now my guy name, pictures, and presence is plastered all over the world. Now the question would be, is he a legend right now?
Oh, absolutely.
You fucking better believe it, he's a legend.
Absolutely. He's sitting on our wall right behind us as we speak.
So why we care what somebody else say, bro? Why we care about what somebody else say? Let that man have his own words, bro. The proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding.
Indeed. I want to talk about hip hop now, man. You started the conversation saying that you boxed, you practiced martial arts, you were real savvy with the hands and the feet, and you didn't mind getting dirty if you had to either. But this new age of hip hop and these new generation, they go right to the gun and they go to shooting motherfuckers. Now I know you've had conversations with some of the youth, Quando Rondo being one of them as of late. Not to talk about him personally, but just hip hop in general in the young age of hip hop. Do you think they're really built for what they're showing on social media, what they're portraying, and then what they're living on the street?
I don't know, man. I think a lot of them are. A lot of them. I mean, shit. You're picking up these guns, and they ain't got no choice. Once you use that gun, you get that case. It don't matter if you built or not. Either you're gonna be getting the problem is not them actually doing the crime, because anybody can pick up a gun. A 3-year-old can pick up a gun. But what's going to happen to you after you do that crime is the question. That's the thing that people don't see. You know what I mean? Like, we don't paint that picture. Because I believe, honestly, that any youngster with a gun can knock your head off.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I'm here so long is because I respect that. Yeah. I don't underestimate no youngster with an attitude and a gun. You know what I mean? And that go from my neighborhood, anywhere else, anything I do. I'm gonna show respect to whatever and whoever's moving. You know what I mean? Because that could be a vital mistake in your existence to not do.
Yeah.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna say, I think what we see in hip hop today is more acting out of the violence that was not acted out in previous generations. So I don't know if we could blame this generation, because there used to, and there's always been beefs in hip hop. Always. It used to be LL Cool J versus Kool Moe Dee. It was NWA versus Ice Cube. Well, in today's time, the difference is these same beefs now can don't get real. Like, what level of beef are we on? And that's what happens. That's why we see a different level of engagement.
You think it's the message?
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it do.
What do you think about the message that these dudes is putting out? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I was saying, what do you think about the message?
When you say,
go ahead.
It's the same message. It's the same message from back in the days. These dudes always been beefing. There's always been beef in hip hop. I don't think we could sit here and blame this generation of rappers and say that this generation are worse than the other generation of rappers. You know, because it's not true. You know, I always talk about the drug use. Then the drug use is different. Because in our generation, we were talking about selling the drugs. This generation is talking about and using the drugs. So a lot of them are losing their connection to the world mentally. So a lot of these youngsters we're dealing with, man, are really kind of not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With this lean that they taking, this lean is really heroin, so they hooked on this heroin. It's driving them crazy. They taking psychiatric drugs that's meant for people who have psychiatric illnesses and not realizing if you take something that's meant for somebody who has a psychiatric illness,
right,
and you don't have one, don't you think you're going to develop one?
Yep.
In some kind of way? But they don't realize that. So a lot of these kids that be talking about doing stuff on these songs really fucking may be serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I mean, they taking psychiatric drugs. You pull up on these kids nowadays that took Adderall, Percocet, and some lean. Man, I'm not finna think this nigga not gonna do everything that he said he gonna do.
Yeah.
Fucking with me, I'm gonna believe everything he said.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna act accordingly. Man. These dudes get to talking about they gonna kill everything and shoot everything, and I got my pistol. Man, I'm finna believe everything this dude said.
Did you ever talk to Rondo again? Because I know at a point you said you was going to get next to him and talk to him. Did you ever speak?
No, I talked to him. I talked to the nephew that day.
Okay.
I'm gonna do an interview on him. I got a show I'm doing called Checking In.
Okay.
I'm for the interview him.
That's dope.
Because I don't believe in down and youngsters. I just feel like, it's a certain level of respect that we all should have and the way we should do business. You know what I mean? He a good kid, man, and I think he got caught in a bad situation with that other thing. But with me and him, it ain't nothing that we can't fix because he a good kid, and I like him, and I got a great deal of respect for him. You know what I mean? I put out a thing. I put out a thing that day once I realized how they was trying to take the thing viral, and I have no intention, and I meant no disrespect to him, but other than the fact that I feel like I should be respecting the fact that when you call me right, and then like he said, I was calling you to make a donation, and you was wrong, and I told him, you know what, nephew, I was wrong, because we from the same plane. I shouldn't have said nothing, but I was in my feelings because of how it went down. So my nephew said I was wrong, and I said I was wrong too. Shit, I was wrong.
Appreciate that, man.
But that's how grown men supposed to be. Or instead of going to a gun and want to fight, you know what I mean? I'm gonna admit when I'm wrong, bro. I'm 54 years old. You understand what I'm saying?
Appreciate that.
Accountability is everything, man. And it's what we try to preach on the show. Accountability is everything. And, hip hop has a lot to do with the culture, whether we wanted to or not. It definitely is influencing. It's the blood life of the culture. How can we as media,
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. How can we as a people disseminate the right message? Because you see a lot of media outlets popping up and they don't all display the right message. You see a lot of beef shit. That's the shit that goes, and that's the shit that's said. But how do we do better for our culture?
And that's what I had a talk with a youngster the other day, and I was talking to him, and we was doing an interview, and I was like, see, the problem is you guys focus on the negative because you need to get the sound bite. So when we was talking, and I was telling him that you're not really an aid to hip hop. You're not an aid to our culture. And he wasn't one of us. He was somebody else who was doing an interview. Mm-hmm. And then I was telling him, because see, your depiction of our culture coming from you, which your audience is more Caucasian probably because you're Caucasian. Right. It's gonna be, if you go chase the sound bites, or Big, you said this about Nipsey family. Big, you said this about Cowboy. Big, you said this about that. You're looking for the highlight. You're looking for the way to get people to come and galvanize. You're looking for the negative in the subject. That's not how you help to build hip hop. But it doesn't help to build your brand either. Which brings me to why I'm doing my show. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to be able to tell.
Can you still hear?
Get a building right now with Big U on the Hip Hop Uncensored Podcast as we hit the hour mark. Can you hear us, brother?
Yeah.
All right, what were you saying?
And I was saying that the reason why I'm doing my podcast called Checking In is because I don't want to gun the people down for wanting to say something or having a story. I don't want to go sensationalize what they doing to Quavo. You know what I mean? Like, who can't see that Quavo didn't hurt this girl? Who can't see that Quavo was trying to get his property back? Yep. You know what I mean? So, but where does a man stand in this world? Does a man stand in the fact that, look, basically it's a robbery. She taking this thing. Now, if he called the police, he's a bitch nigga. He called the police on a woman. He whooped, he whoop. He could have had. But if you get your stuff back and leave it alone at that, and you move on out the elevator with getting your property back, you're still vilified.
Yeah.
So that's how you help hip hop. But you can't champion that, because if you champion that, then people that's in the power, and so, well, I mean, he still should have never touched her. He could have handled it a different way. Yeah, what? Letting her take his property? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, and we talk about this woman thing, man. We live in a woman's world, just to keep it 100.
Mm-hmm. Your audio went out.
Nah, these people keep calling my phone.
Oh, all right. You were saying you live in a woman's world. Just the last thought.
We live in a woman's world right now, bro. I mean, look at certain situations with other people. You can't even take a woman. You can't buy a woman a drink no more.
Nope.
Because that could turn to something else. If you smoke with a woman and get high with a woman and go have sex with her, that could turn to something else. If you invite a woman to a threesome, which that could turn into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go get a hotel, that could turn to something else.
Damn.
And then don't let no female fly out of town with you, my nigga. And you pay for the plane ticket.
With that being
said, that could turn into something else.
Yeah. Damn.
Where are we, man? And it's just hip hop. Like I was looking at the governor, and he was saying, man, the governor of New York, man, we in the council world.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to feel like this, but I can't let no woman work for me that ain't my family no more. I don't even want you around.
Yeah, the truth.
You can't. And what else? What attitude can we take?
Right.
Oh, that's sexist and racist. But guess what? You won't be suing me.
Right. Yep.
You won't be saying if I say you have a nice dress on, you look good today. Oh my God, he just approached me.
Mm-hmm. He assaulted me. Oh,
come on, man.
Now you know T.I. I'm sure you're good friends with T.I., right? What do you think about what he's going through right now in the media with that certain situation similar to that?
Hey man, listen, man. I don't want to get accused of nothing.
I hear you.
Word up. Can't say shit out here.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, man, you can't even take. Let me just say this to you.
Mm-hmm.
We in an era now where you can't even meet a woman in a bar, and I'll say it again. Nah, baby, I'm gonna need you to get sober, go home, come back, sign this paperwork saying that we about to have oral sex and everything we about to do, and how long we gonna do it. And then it's a situation where if a woman, even if you having sex with the woman, she can say stop in the middle of the third stroke. And you gotta stop. Like what? Wait a minute.
The fuck is this? You know,
where we at? This hip hop.
The fuck? On a deeper level, though, it's almost like they don't want women and men fucking at all, and they putting that on our babies. So,
putting it on the babies, man. Look, it's a cancer culture.
Yeah. How do we combat that?
I don't know what to do, man. I'm 54. I'm 54 years old. I'm closer to getting out of this mug than I am coming in. This kind of gonna be y'all's to deal with for the next 25 years. I'm married. I ain't got to deal with no women in no way. You know what I mean? I'm out the game, but I just feel for my sons. You know what I mean? I feel my sons. I feel for y'all. I'm writing a story that kind of deals with that. You know what I mean? I got 2 more documentaries I'm doing. I got a movie I'm doing. I just launched my own. I just relaunched my music label, Unique Distribution. So I got a big distribution company for people to be able to distribute music. So I'm moving in that way. But my whole love and my passion is film. That's how I made the documentary, and I think that's the question y'all mixed. How did this documentary get made? It got made because I've been doing film now for the last 17 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't in music. I hadn't been in music until Nipsey called me back into music.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had dabbled in music, dabbled in arts, but after Sandman died, I kind of left music alone. And so I didn't really get back into messing with music until Nipsey called me to go do music again with him. And he wanted me to go with him to New York. And so that's what I did do. And after that, I came back and I signed OSBS. Mm-hmm. And that's how I actually got back into this music game. Gotcha. But doing film and music, doing film has always been my passion.
Okay,
my manager's on my my manager is in my ear going crazy. She's saying I'm supposed to be on the 3:00 interview.
All right, we good, man. That's all we got anyway, bro. We appreciate you, man.
Hey, y'all hit me back, man. I take y'all to go interview Cowboy. You can hear from him.
Let's do it.
Cowboy say what he got to say.
Yeah, indeed, man. We'll be
You
in
can
touch.
hook it up through her.
All right, we got you. We got you. Do that ASAP. Go ahead and drop your social media handles real quick for the people that's going to see this.
And we'll get up out of here, bro. I appreciate you.